is a short video to show how your child should be practicing after they're through the very beginning lesson stages, and then it could vary a little bit as they get a little older. There might be a little more into it, but this is your basic practice. First thing they should be practicing are their scales. So say they're in their level 1 Piano Adventures lesson book. They have the scale patterns at the back, the warm-up that I usually give them to go through. So they're not supposed to just sit down and go, that's not practicing. So they should, if it's a scale they've been working on and they know, they need to set a nice steady pace first, tapping their toe or thinking 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's if they're using the scale pattern at the book. If they're a little more advanced, they may be doing actual full scales, which might sound like. But the basic effort here is to make sure it sounds nice together and steady as they go up. Quite often I will tap along on my drum for them. But you can also put a drum click on just from YouTube, or put a metronome on, something for them to play along to. Usually at this stage I try to teach them how to feel it more than use the metronome, because sometimes they get frustrated with that. After they're done their scales, they will have a technique book, either this, or I may have them using a bench rats technique book. Either way, they have exercises in them to practice what we call articulation. Articulation is about how the music sounds, not just playing the notes, but maybe staccato, or playing it legato, which means smoothly, or you might have some slurs. And it's all explained in the book. I explain it at the lesson, so they do know what they're supposed to be doing. So this one, for instance, is Peacock Strut. It has both staccato, which is detached playing, and legato. So they aren't supposed to just go. They have to approach it practicing nice and steady. There'll be dynamic markings, which means how loud or soft they're supposed to play it. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one repeats up here. So it's not a quick once-over thing. They practice whatever it is. They spend a few minutes on it. They can speed up as they start to learn it more. They can play it faster the next time, as long as it's steady and the tone is really good, and they're on their fingertips when they're playing. They should be sitting nice at the piano. They know how to go like this to make sure they're the right distance and the right height. Their arms should be level with the key, kind of with the keyboard, so that they're not like sitting like this or whatever it is. And as they grow, sometimes they're kind of almost too big, and then they don't realize that they're too close to the piano still. Then, after they've made sure they practice this properly, making it sound musical and actually applying what they're learning, then we'll go through their lesson book. And with their lesson book, they'll have whatever pieces they're working on. Now, depending on if it's a new piece or a piece they've been working on for a bit, it's approached a little bit differently. I might only give them one line to work on, or they might be working on the whole piece, but they'll be working on more difficult parts before they play it all the way through. So in this case, with Young Hunter, they are going to go through and say, okay, this is a new note. It says right on here what it is. They're going to look here at the time signature. They see 4/4. That means there's 4 beats in each measure. They look for staccato, slurs, tied notes, which means you hold them for longer than their note value. And then dynamics. This one's piano, it's soft. Mezzo forte. These little dots here and here mean they have to repeat it. So there's a bunch of things they have to look at to make sure they know how to play it. And then they can start by clapping and counting. 4 beats in a measure, they're going to clap and count. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you notice at the end I held my hands together for a long time. That's because those notes were tied and it was actually 10 counts that they were holding them for. Then they're going to start trying to play. They're going to look, which finger am I supposed to use? Which note am I supposed to play on? They're going to put their hands on and they're going to try maybe the first 2 measures. And they're going to practice that until they're even. So if they're going, if they're doing that, then they have to stop and figure out what note is that? Am I playing the right one? Play it slower. Time I didn't stop because I knew where the notes were because I'd slowed down enough. And then you can add the left hand. And they just build on it that way until they're really sure about what they're playing, and then they can work on the next line the next day and then add the 2 lines together, or however far they are in the piece or how long the piece is. So making sure they know what the song is supposed to sound like. So tempo, dynamics, articulation, clap and count. Counting out loud is important. If you're not counting out loud, you probably are not counting steady. Starting slowly. And then once they've worked on the stuff that they already are supposed to work on, they can have a day where they practice stuff that they have played before or really love. And if they want to just goof around on the piano, sometimes we just play black notes. They can just goof around and make noises and make music and play with it. That's part of learning. I hope this helped, and